This is absolutely the weirdest pose you've ever seen. In just a few seconds, they switched places before their adoptive mother could serve them dinner. They did this just to keep their adoptive parents from discovering they were twins. Just a few days ago, the two brothers were just orphans at the orphanage. They accidentally learned that a wealthy couple from Oregon Village was coming to the orphanage to adopt a child. So, they began to hatch their plan. Even though all the children in the orphanage competed for attention, but the brother wasn't panicking at all. He firmly believed that all he needed was to leave a strong last impression. Just as the couple were leaving the orphanage, the rich man's wife's hat was suddenly blown away by the wind. My brother, who was on the second floor, caught it. His elegant gesture instantly captured the rich woman's heart. They agreed to come back for the hat tomorrow. Back in the car, his elegant demeanor lingered in their minds. But they decided to observe his character further. Just as they were about to leave, heavy rain started to fall. After turning on the wipers, they saw him holding an umbrella for a small dog in the rain. This heartwarming scene touched their hearts. But what they didn't know was that this was all part of the brothers' plan. The rich wife's hat was hooked by the younger brother, who was hiding on the second floor, using a fishing rod. And as the couple were about to leave, the brother turned on the faucet to create a rain shower. He then took the opportunity to offer his umbrella to a small toy dog in the rain. And just like that, he was adopted by the wealthy man. The couple cherished their newly adopted child. They had prepared a room specifically for him. He politely declined their offer to clean the room for him. After seeing his foster parents off, he opened a large box nearby. Inside was his younger brother. Then, the two of them worked together to tidy the room. At dinner time, the older brother kept the wealthy couple's attention at the dinner table. The younger brother took the chance to crawl under the dining table. While the couple was serving food to the older brother, the two brothers executed a series of elegant maneuvers. Here, please enjoy. Thank you. Seeing her children eating with such delight, the adoptive mother was moved to tears. After the meal, the adoptive father, feeling discomfort in his shoulder, asked the older brother to give him a massage. But I never expected this old man's demands to be so numerous. He kept asking for massages, then for more. Before long, my brother's hands started to hurt. There was no choice, so the two brothers had to take turns. Under the brothers' service, the foster father completely surrendered. The next day, the couple felt that my brother was still being very polite. They decided to create childhood memories for him. Mother Yang wanted to make cherry pies with her son. My adoptive father wanted me to ride on his shoulders. All of this was overheard by my younger brother, lurking in the shadows. So, we hatched a new plan. I took out a cherry pie cookbook and dramatically sighed in front of our adoptive mother, saying how much I wanted cherry pie. Naturally, she started making one with me. However, weaving the lattice top proved to be a challenge for her. While she went to answer the door, with the quick cooperation of the two brothers, they successfully finished organizing the grid. When their foster mother returned again, she was stunned by the scene before her. The once chaotic grid was now neat and orderly. And so, the two of them enjoyed a warm afternoon tea together. The foster mother, whose wish had been fulfilled, was very happy. At that moment, the younger brother, hiding under the table, noticed their foster father looking on with envy. Then, my older brother pretended to put the bird's nest back in the tree, but he was too short to reach. My foster father, watching from the side, shyly offered to let my brother stand on his shoulders. Unexpectedly, my out-of-shape foster father not only failed to stand up straight, but he also threw out his back. That night, we two brothers thought about how to solve the problem. The next day, the younger brother climbed the tree first. The older brother tossed the bird's nest to his younger brother. Then he lowered the rope for his older brother to tie around his waist. And just as their foster father was about to stand up, the younger brother jumped down at the same time. Then the older brother covered their foster father's eyes with his hands. In this way, their foster father successfully stood up. Having fulfilled his wish, their foster father shed tears of emotion. This is definitely October's most explosive plot. The two brothers' elegant deception was because they just didn't want their adoptive parents to find out they had adopted two children. A seemingly warm family actually hides turbulent undercurrents. As children, the two brothers lived with their mother in Oregon Village. But one night, they woke up to find their mother mysteriously missing. The two brothers searched desperately, and eventually found their mother's cold body lying by the roadside. To investigate their mother's murder, after meticulous planning, they successfully moved into the home of a wealthy couple in Oregon Village. But the wealthy couple seemed to have a secret. One day, the couple planned to go out, making various excuses to leave the older brother behind. This immediately made the two perceptive boys suspicious. So the brothers started to investigate their foster mother's room. In a short while, the younger brother found a triangular piece of cloth under his foster mother's bed. While the older brother was bewildered, the younger brother said he was very familiar with this object. The two of them then began investigating their adoptive father's room. The room was filled with books, and there was also a cheesy poetry collection their adoptive father had written for their older brother. At that moment, a photo on the desk caught the younger brother's attention. At first glance, it seemed like a normal photo, but hidden inside it was another picture. The figure of their adoptive father was unmistakable. However, no matter how much they looked at the woman in his arms, she didn't resemble their adoptive mother. The older brother immediately speculated that this was likely their adoptive father's mistress. Sure enough, the elderly couple was not as simple as they seemed. The two of them then arrived at the storage room on the second floor. The dark, windowless room was filled with a strange odor. The deeper they went, the more unsettling it felt. The thin air in the room made the younger brother want to open the curtains for some fresh air. But to his surprise, behind the curtains was a wall of human hair. Remembering how their adoptive mother often stroked their hair, the two brothers shivered in fear. Just then, the sound of a car could be heard from outside. It was their foster parents who had returned. Even stranger, they didn't go into their house after arriving home. Instead, they went to a small warehouse. The two brothers followed them to the warehouse and witnessed a terrifying scene. Back in their room, the two brothers immediately concocted a dramatic scenario. They realized their foster parents' true intention all along had been their hair. They vowed not to let their foster parents get it easily. The next day, the welcome party arrived as scheduled. The older brother poured chili oil into the adoptive mother's glass from the chandelier above her head. Her mouth immediately became swollen and red, like a sausage. The younger brother kindly handed her a glass of water. What she didn't know was that it had already been replaced with clear alcohol. The adoptive mother was successfully drunk. Then, the younger brother led the adoptive father aside and fixed his hairstyle. Unbeknownst to him, he was using olive oil. By 3 p.m., sunlight streamed in through the west-facing window. Then, using a magnifying glass, I could make my alcohol and oil-soaked foster parents spontaneously combust. Everyone would be shocked. They'd think it was the wrath of God. Soon it was 3 o'clock. My foster mother covered my younger brother's eyes. But my older brother saw something shocking outside the window. He immediately told the younger brother the plan was off. But my overly nervous brother didn't notice a thing. He waited for a while, but there was no fire. Fear instantly flooded his heart. When he removed the blindfold, he saw a brand new bicycle. My brother was stunned. He felt no joy whatsoever. Back in their room, the two brothers replayed the events of the day. It turned out it really was a welcome party. And the woman in the photo was their current adoptive mother. The human body is truly incredible. Also, the hair behind the wall was a wig. It seems there's still a lot the brothers don't know. To investigate their mother's murder, the two brothers pretended to be one person living in the wealthy household. They thought the investigation would be smooth sailing, but it's proving to be full of difficulties. To get along with the other kids in town, my brother and I went to Boy Scout camp, but having grown up in an orphanage, we weren't exactly social butterflies. When someone told a joke, everyone else would laugh, but my brother just stared blankly. I, on the other hand, was more practical. I tried to make friends by offering them pretty rocks, but obviously that doesn't work either, because they came out of the orphanage. No one wants to be friends with them. At this time, the duo on the side told the younger brother that he could make friends if he wanted to, but you have to walk across the rope bridge without holding on to the rope, in order to make friends with people in the town. The younger brother mustered up the courage to walk to the rope bridge. Everyone around is waiting to see his brother's joke. Only the guy with the eyes looked worried. Sure enough, after taking just a few steps, the younger brother fell off the rope. But what happened next left everyone dumbfounded. The younger brother, who had fallen, was back at the starting point in just 2.5 seconds. What they didn't know was that the person in front of them was now the older brother. And so, with countless falls and switches between the two, they moved forward step by step. The guy with the eyes watched the scene before him. He couldn't help but think of the mockery he endured and the perseverance he held on to while chasing his own dreams. He yelled at his brother not to give up. Finally, with his brother's leap of faith, he completed the challenge. He excitedly approached the duo. But unexpectedly, they rejected his brother's offer of friendship, because he had used his hands. Just as the brother was getting angry, the guy with glasses approached him. He told her brother that she was willing to be friends with him, and invited him to come over to his house. Soon after, the brother arrived at the man with the glasses' house with food. Her younger brother hid nearby, waiting for the right moment. Once the two brothers successfully entered, the older brother took on the task of distracting the man with the glasses. The younger brother began his investigation. He went to the man with the glasses' sister's room on the second floor. The younger brother unexpectedly saw the same wallpaper as in his childhood. Just as he was about to investigate further, footsteps were heard from the stairs. The younger brother immediately hid. Then he signaled his older brother. The older brother quickly used the excuse of going to the bathroom to discuss with the younger brother in the restroom. They finally decided that the older brother would distract the man with the glasses, while the younger brother would go to the sister's room to search for clues. After some searching, he couldn't find the childhood doodles. Just as he was about to leave, his sister grabbed his arm. Meanwhile, the man with glasses repeatedly tried to go to his sister's room, but his brother stopped him, using the excuse of wanting to get to know him better. This touched the man with glasses deeply, and he readily showed his brother his bird custom. Then the man with glasses remembered he hadn't seen his whole body. He planned to go to his sister's room to get the mirror, but he was stopped by his brother. His brother said it was fine for him to look at his own body. At this moment, the atmosphere in the two rooms was completely opposite. Back home, they each reflected on the day's experiences, just as they were struggling with how to investigate the next house. Unexpectedly, another scout invited him. However, it was the younger brother who stepped forward this time. The older brother is responsible for investigating secretly. When he entered the room, the younger brother was immediately attracted to the toys all over the place. But to his surprise, you wouldn't let him touch them, in case he got germs on them. The younger brother could only silently endure it. But to his surprise, Ya's bullying of the younger brother only got worse. Whenever they played games, if the younger brother won, Ya would insist on restarting until he won. The younger brother clenched his teeth in frustration but could only suppress his anger. Before the younger brother could even act, Palya snatched the cake out of his hand. Although he was burning with anger, he could only remain calm, thinking of his older brother's instructions. At that moment, Palya suddenly asked the younger brother what games they played in the orphanage. The younger brother replied that they played whatever they had. For example, with slippers and helmets, they could play You Hit, I Dodge, or Rock Paper Scissors. Hearing this, Palya found it interesting and decided to play the game with his younger brother. Meanwhile, the older brother searched the entire house, but he didn't find any wallpaper with the water flea pattern. It seemed this wasn't the house, so he decided to call his younger brother and leave. But then he saw a very infuriating scene. Seeing Ya continuously bullying his younger brother, the older brother teleported quietly into the room. Then he dragged his brother under the bed. He himself stood up from the other side. He wanted to take revenge for his brother. Fortunately, the brother came out in time to stop his rampaging older brother. This is definitely the most explosive plot of October. The twin brother tried to motivate his sibling to study harder. He even cross-dressed to seduce him. The goal was to get good grades and enter the top class, to further investigate my mother's murderer. But I didn't expect my younger brother not only failed to recognize me, but he also fell in love with me at first sight. Just a few days ago, to clean their house, the wealthy couple hired a housekeeper. Initially, I didn't pay much attention to her, but then I overheard the housekeeper saying she had cleaned many houses in the village. I immediately approached her to inquire about some information. But unexpectedly, the nanny refused, saying she couldn't casually reveal other people's affairs. Instead, she teased my brother, saying his striped underwear was very cute. My brother immediately blushed. He returned to his room and immediately took off the striped underwear. My younger brother then suddenly said my brother's acting skills might be useful. Then, while they were both airing out quilts, my younger brother sent our foster mother away. Then, my brother put on our foster mother's clothes and a wig to try and get information from the nanny. He successfully learned from the nanny that Agee's house had damask-patterned wallpaper. The next morning, the older brother and younger brother put on their school uniforms and prepared to head to school. The poor younger brother could only ride his bike and follow behind his older brother. He originally thought he would be in the same class as Agee, but he didn't expect the school to divide classes based on grades. Agee's class was the school's advanced class. He was in the worst, ordinary class. So, taking advantage of break time, the older brother and younger brother are discussing strategies in the bathroom. The only solution now is to score high. This way, there might be a chance to move up to the advanced class, getting closer to Eri. But the younger brother feels a bit embarrassed. Thinking about his 0 score on the exam, he can't help but feel a headache. At that moment, voices from Eri outside the bathroom could be heard. The older brother immediately came out and showered Eri with compliments, trying to get closer to him. But to his surprise, Inger only glanced at the mark on his brother's neck and ignored him. The brother also understood that Inger refused to associate with an idiot. When they got home, the brother decided to split the subjects in half, with each of them studying one part. But the younger brother wasn't focused on studying. Ever since he was hugged by his sister last time, the younger brother had developed a crush. Today, he ran into his goddess again in the library. The brother, upon hearing this, was speechless, because the goddess of his younger brother was actually himself in disguise. In order to focus on studying without being discovered by others, he dressed as a man. Just as he was about to reveal the truth, he heard his brother say he would do anything for the goddess. A plan slowly formed in his mind. The next day, the younger brother, like a lovesick fool, followed his brother to the library. He thought his brother would now work hard and focus on his studies. But to his surprise, the younger brother brought his own exam paper to fool him. So, the older brother invited him to study together after school. The younger brother also readily agreed. After a period of studying, the younger brother's grades improved. But prolonged contact made the younger brother feel that his older brother liked him. So, he gathered the courage to confess to him. The older brother wanted to reject him immediately, but then he suddenly realized that if he rejected him, the younger brother might stop studying seriously. So, he agreed to go on a date with him once he scored 100 points. The younger brother, upon hearing this, immediately became full of energy. After a period of relentless effort, the day of the exam finally arrived. My younger brother seemed to have been drained by studying. After the results came out, I was quite satisfied with my performance. My only worry was my younger brother. Just then, he walked over looking dejected. I assumed he had done poorly. But unexpectedly, he actually scored 100 points. I had no choice but to reluctantly agree to go on a date with him. The next day, the two of them went to the aquarium together. The younger brother had a wonderful time that day. He even bought his older brother a necklace. But the older brother knew it was time to end this kind of relationship. Meanwhile, the brother's high scores caught Eiji's attention. This family is truly perverse. The twin brothers had only eaten one meal at their house before being asked to strip naked for a physical examination. They were even raised like babies. Just a few days ago, the brothers' high scores successfully caught Ing-er's attention. The next day, Ing-er invited the wealthy Yi family over as guests. This time, the younger brother handled the socializing. The older brother, on the other hand, quietly surveyed the whole house. After searching for a long time, he couldn't find any wallpaper with water flea patterns. But the sense of suspicion lingered in the older brother's mind. Meanwhile, the two families enjoyed a harmonious meal together. He kept talking about trivial things in his life. But then, Eiji's mother changed the subject. She accused her younger son of being a thief. Then Eiji took out his pajamas. The buttons on them were identical to the ones on his mother's belongings. His brother subconsciously touched his neck, but this played right into Eiji's hands. He immediately told his brother not to move, and had his younger brother take off his clothes for inspection. Just when the younger brother was in a dilemma, he saw his older brother behind him. With just one look, the younger brother felt reassured. He showed a pitiful expression and accused Ing-er of wrongfully blaming him. Meanwhile, the older brother took the opportunity to crawl under the table, and secretly took the dining knife. While my brother created a diversion so I could cut the necklace off, I thought Eiji would give up, having found nothing. Unexpectedly, he called over his Doberman. Then he put his clothes in front of the Doberman and had it sniff out anything with the same scent. While I was thinking of a countermeasure, the Doberman had quietly come up beside me. I panicked. If someone were to look under the table now, the fact that they are twins will be exposed. Suddenly, the younger brother raised his hand and claimed that he had stolen Ing-er's button. To prevent others from discovering they were twins, the younger brother had no choice but to take this drastic step. The wealthy couple immediately pleaded for mercy on the younger brother's behalf. But Ing-er's mother said that if the orphanage found out about this, they would never be able to see the younger brother again. Until the younger brother's mental state stabilizes, he would be taken care of by the Ichijo family. And so, my brother was confined to the Ichijo house. Not only was he stripped naked and tied to a chair, but he was even fed dog food. Eiji wanted to know why he had his button. But my brother didn't tell Eiji the truth. Seeing my brother so tight-lipped, Eiji decided to teach him a lesson. At this moment, the older brother also arrived, planning to rescue his younger brother. But the Doberman Pinscher was guarding the doorway. So, he took out a rope, intending to pull the dog away by force. Then he quickly ran towards the door. But how could he be faster than a dog? In the blink of an eye, the Doberman was back at the door. He thought he was about to be bitten. But unexpectedly, the Doberman just wanted to play with him. And so, the older brother successfully entered the room. He couldn't wait to rescue his younger brother. But his younger brother told him he couldn't leave, because no one knew they were twins. As long as he stayed there, their guard would be lowered. The older brother could then take the opportunity to thoroughly investigate the E family. Hearing this, the older brother agreed to his younger brother's plan. Just then, my younger brother noticed that the wallpaper in his room had a water flea pattern, and on it was my mother's handwriting. At this moment, my younger brother could no longer contain his emotions and burst into tears. This naturally attracted Eiji's mother's attention. During the time he was hiding, the Tiao family never mentioned his imprisoned younger brother. Eiji felt more and more that something was wrong with this family, and there must be some significance to the button his mother left him. Someone from the Itiao family is definitely a suspect. So, my brother decided to start his investigation in Ing-er's father's study. It turned out to be the maid, Guang. She was responsible for cleaning the Itiao house every Wednesday. Fortunately, Guang didn't suspect my brother, and my brother was able to use her to get into Ing-er's father's study. Soon, my brother discovered a suspicious photo album, and in Ing-er's mother's wineglass, my brother noticed her reflection. This further deepens the suspicion against the Ito family. Then, the two of them planned to investigate the second floor. But Guang encountered a dilemma, because the Ito family hadn't asked her to clean the second floor. So, the older brother sprinkled breadcrumbs on the stairs. Guang understood immediately. Thus, the two of them searched the rooms on the second floor without restraint. Suddenly, Guang noticed that a picture frame, which was prone to collecting dust, was completely spotless. The older brother immediately stepped forward to check. After some effort, he unexpectedly managed to open the ladder leading to the attic. The two of them climbed the ladder to the attic and were stunned by the scene before them. Inside, there was a 3D model of the entire Oregon village. And in each room, there were corresponding dolls. Even the doll of Agwang from the neighboring village was there. But for some reason, her doll was in a strange position. Meanwhile, the other brother discovered information about all the villagers of Oregon village. In other words, the Jia family was monitoring the entire village. Just then, footsteps suddenly came from downstairs. Agwang immediately told his brother to hide in the box and stay silent. He took care of everything else. By nightfall, his brother finally came out of the box. But what he saw left him stunned. He was investigating the murderer who killed his mother. The two brothers pretended to be their mother's soul to observe the reactions of others. A hidden family secret began to surface. During the time the younger brother was imprisoned, the older brother tirelessly gathered clues. Meanwhile, the younger brother tried to satisfy Ing Er's mother's twisted needs by pretending to be a newborn baby. This was done to reduce her suspicion. Although she noticed that her brother was happily laughing outside, the younger brother still dutifully played his role. Only because of this could he uncover the hidden secrets of the family. Soon, the younger brother's acting skills were recognized by Ing Er's mother. He has successfully become a part of the family. At the dinner table, he continues to perform brilliantly. Like a child, he keeps asking questions, but the family answers his questions perfectly. Then, he asks why Ing Er, who is the older brother, is not called Ing Yi. The baby's mother says, it's because he hopes that he will be the best at everything. That's why he purposely named him Ing Er. And Ing Er also said he's proud of that name. But Ing Er's foot subconsciously twitched. His brother immediately noticed he was lying. Then, the younger brother asked if Ing Er still wets the bed. The three at the table all said no. But strangely, all three of their legs began to shake violently. Just then, Eiji suddenly noticed that his younger brother's smile wasn't like that of a 5-year-old. This instantly aroused Eiji's suspicion. Just as his younger brother's expression turned strained, the older brother under the table acted quickly. I successfully resolved the crisis. Night had fallen. Ingsan's mother told her younger brother that his treatment was officially over. She had already informed the rich couple that they could take him home tomorrow. However, her brother wasn't happy about this, because this meant the two brothers' efforts would be in vain. Just as they were pondering their next move, the younger brother placed his finger on the wallpaper as if communicating with a spirit. Suddenly, the older brother had a brilliant idea. He decided to have his younger brother impersonate their mother's ghost to observe everyone's reactions. The first one would be Eiji's father. After seeing his mother's ghost, Eiji's father wore a look of disbelief, but a second later, he stepped forward and hugged his younger brother, repeatedly expressing how much he missed her. But soon after, he noticed something strange on his brother's head. Seeing this, the older brother quickly pulled his younger brother away and ran. Eiji's father's behavior, however, they ruled out the possibility that he was the murderer. After all, if he were the murderer, he would have been trembling in fear upon seeing his mother's ghost. Using the process of elimination, next up was Ing Er's mother. At that moment, Ing Er's mother was resting in bed. But the next second, a figure appeared above her. When she opened her eyes, she saw a horrifying scene. But after she regained her senses and saw the person clearly, she left the room. When she returned, she was holding a pair of scissors. Seeing this, the older brother immediately took his younger brother and ran away. But Eiji's mother wasn't planning on letting them go, stabbing wildly with scissors everywhere. Watching the scene, the older brother also understood that she was innocent. After all, scissors have no effect on ghosts. Just then, Ing Er's mother noticed something unusual under the sofa. She took the scissors and stabbed toward the sofa, just as she was about to stab with all her might. Fortunately, Ing Er's father appeared in time. They were stopped. But unfortunately, the reflection from the scissors exposed the escape route of both of them. The older brother took the opportunity to use the scissors to cut the ropes and escape. Just as they were about to return to the small room, the younger brother happened to run into Air. Air was so scared when he saw the younger brother that he wet his pants. Eiji's reaction indicates that he is the one who murdered their mother. As everyone knows, you either cross-dress 0 times or countless times. This time, my older brother put on women's clothing again, but not to seduce his younger brother. Instead, it was to investigate their mother's murderer. In the discovery of Eiji, after a strong reaction to his brother disguised as their mother, the older brother immediately concluded that Eiji was the one who murdered their mother. So he decided to send his brother to school and disguise himself as a woman to get close to Eiji. One day, Eiji was eating lunch, when, unexpectedly, his classmates started discussing what kind of girl Eiji liked. Although Ing Er wasn't interested in this topic, he felt uncomfortable when he heard the words blonde hair. So, he made an excuse to go to the bathroom and began to vomit. However, what he didn't expect was that his cross-dressing brother was at the door, watching him. In order to keep it a secret from others, he acted gracefully. Humiliated, he chased after my brother. But during the chase, he almost pulled off his wig. To avoid being exposed, he had to stop and confront him. He tried to bribe him, but he slapped the money out of his hand. He wants to see Eiichi further humiliated. He actually needs their baby pictures to find clues about their mother. After looking through them, his older brother indeed found a clue. On the 24th, Eiji's pajamas were intact, but on the 25th, a button was missing. His brother asked him what happened. In-air, however, said he didn't know. He hadn't gotten any useful clues. His brother had no choice but to give up. He said he would listen to In-air's childhood stories next time. Meanwhile, the younger brother was preparing for class, but he suddenly noticed something on the stairs. When he got closer, he was surprised to find the dolphin he had given to Sally. When he returned home, he excitedly told his brother. His goddess came back to him. The older brother was dumbfounded. He told his younger brother that Sally was gone and told him to forget about her. But the younger brother wouldn't give up so easily. The next day, he put up missing person posters at school, but his abstract drawing style made even his older brother laugh. But my brother forgot. My younger brother has a strange teammate, Akiyama. He had previously enjoyed reconstructing the appearance of birds from partial fossils. Although my brother's paintings are very abstract, by comparing the drawings with real life, one could find patterns. Then, by removing the uniqueness and reconstructing it, he could get a real portrait. So, the younger brother posted the new missing person notice, immediately attracting the attention of other students. He inadvertently learned that Eiji was also looking for Sally, so he followed Eiji, believing this way he could find Sally. As expected, at this moment, the older brother is in the classroom, waiting for In-air to tell him stories from his childhood. Just as In-air was about to start, the younger brother came over. He grabbed the older brother's arm and warned him that this place was very dangerous. Unexpectedly, In-air also grabbed the older brother's other hand, but to find a clue about their mother, the older brother had to let go of his younger brother's hand and lie, claiming they were dating. The younger brother was stunned. The next day, the older brother successfully arrived at Ei's house. He planned to use the hypnotic techniques he diligently studied for 2.5 years to hypnotize Ei, thus gaining a clue. After studying for 2.5 minutes, older brother pretended to be tired and wanted to rest. In-air planned to take him to the guest room to rest, but unexpectedly, older brother planned to rest right in In-air's room and stay with him. In-air was a little shocked, but I agreed. However, what happened next wasn't quite what I had in mind. So, I hinted that I couldn't sleep without someone next to me. But unexpectedly, the hopelessly straight Eiji actually found a bunch of stuffed animals to keep him company. There's no choice, so brother had to use his trump card. The reason he refused brother was because they hadn't signed the contract to become lovers yet. Although he didn't know what the contract entailed, brother had no choice but to agree for the sake of the clue. However, brother didn't expect the contract to involve a French kiss. And just like that, In-air successfully ended up in bed. Brother also took this opportunity to use his hypnosis. I then began to question him, but after questioning him for a long time, I got nothing useful. Just then, a sudden noise came from outside the window. Unexpectedly, my younger brother had come looking for me. He took out the dolphin necklace and expressed his love for me. But just then, Eiji suddenly woke up and pushed his younger brother down. At the critical moment, brother! His older brother grabbed him, but the younger brother was still worried about his dropped necklace. His older brother sternly scolded him. Looking at his brother's serious face, it seems the younger brother has thought of something. After taking a bite from his hand, he ran back inside the house. At this moment, it seems that In-air also remembered something. It turns out that on his 5th Christmas Eve, while he was fast asleep, In-air suddenly noticed a figure outside the window. He thought it was Santa Claus. When he opened the window, he was shocked to see a woman with disheveled hair. Panicked, he accidentally pushed the woman off the windowsill. By the time he reacted, the woman was already lying in a pool of blood. However, his mother arrived and covered the whole thing up. This incident became a dark memory for Eiji. After learning the truth, his older brother immediately ran home to share it with him. This is definitely the most explosive new anime of October. To motivate his twin brother to study, the older brother dressed up as a girl to seduce him, but his brother saw through his disguise, and their relationship fell apart. Being dejected, he had to stay at his friend Akiyama's house. While his brother was enjoying a delicious meal, Akiyama's sister suddenly told him someone was looking for him. When he arrived at the door, he froze. His younger brother, who was supposed to be in his room, was unexpectedly standing at the front door. Before he could react, his older brother forced his way into the Akiyama home. He had come to persuade his brother to return, because during his brother's absence, the wealthy couple had noticed something was amiss. My younger brother, who used to eat 2 bowls of rice per meal, now eats less than half of what he used to. I, his older brother, can only force myself to finish 2 bowls, and then go to the bathroom to throw up. The intricate braiding we used to do together flawlessly has now become difficult for me. Even giving our foster father a back massage is no longer effortless. Our foster father has naturally noticed something is amiss, so he invited my brother to take a bath with him. Actually, he was explaining a big principle to him. When you cover one of a duck's eyes, the other eye can shoot out a strong stream of water. Although he could take revenge alone, he still wanted to do it with my brother. So I went to the Akiyama house to persuade him. Clearly, he had been hurt too deeply by me. I didn't want to come out of the closet at all. Then Akiyama came in with drinks. He suggested that studying would distract Michi from his bad mood. My brother agreed on the surface. In fact, I have been secretly cursing Akiyama for being an obstacle. Just then, a sound came from the closet. Akiyama got up to check it out, but the brother slapped him. The older brother used a pun to convey his thoughts to the younger brother in the wardrobe. Has the younger brother forgotten the vow they made in front of their mother? Although the younger brother understood, but Akiyama thought that his unhappiness was due to the pressure from his adoptive mother. So Akiyama advised him not to feel the need to play the good child just to meet mom's expectations. Be your true self. These words gave his younger brother a new idea. So, while Akiyama was away, the younger brother switched places with his older brother and expressed his true feelings to him. That night, the older brother went alone to his mother's grave and vowed to take revenge, even if he had to do it alone. The annual Halloween costume contest was fast approaching. My older brother learned from our foster mother that Eiji had always been the champion. So, if he tampered with the champion seat, he could kill Eiji in front of everyone. To ensure he wouldn't win, he even squeezed ketchup into his mouth and sprayed it all over the audience. Eiji's turn came up quickly. Unexpectedly, he hadn't dressed up at all. It seems Eiji is still deeply affected by what happened with his mother. So his brother, using his silver tongue, spun a tale about Eiji being a minstrel who was left penniless after saving his sister. This successfully garnered sympathy from the audience. Without a doubt, Eiji won. Meanwhile, the older brother was in the distance quietly waiting for Eiji's death. But at this moment, Eiji suddenly declared he was forfeiting. Thus, Akiyama, in second place, and his younger brother became the champions. Watching his younger brother walk step by step towards the throne, the older brother wanted to stop him, but it was too late. Just how exciting will the new episode of Migi and Dali be? Migi discovers a family secret and is tragically hunted down by Ing-Air's mother. After learning that the two brothers are twins, she plans to kill both of them. Even the cleaning aunt who came to rescue them was brutally murdered by Ing-Air's mother. Just now, the older brother wanted to kill Ing-Air, but he nearly caused his brother's death. Filled with guilt, he fell seriously ill. He was bedridden. In order to understand why Ing-Air saved him, his brother disguised himself as a woman and went to Ing-Air's house. After arriving at Ing-Air's room, Ing-Air made an excuse that she wanted to eat bread from the village next door, and sent her mother away. The younger brother asked him why he risked my life to save the Habari. He told him he did it to atone for my sins. Then he took him to the model of the entire village. He told him that on Christmas Eve when he was 5, he accidentally pushed a woman out of the window. Although my mother always said he pushed out a monster, and that there was no such woman in the village. He found something in my little sister's dollhouse. He found the woman's doll. This led Eri to speculate. The reason his mother was monitoring the entire village was probably to prevent someone from seeking revenge and trying to take her life. Seeing the broken doll, his brother was shocked. Eri urged him to hurry and tell Mino. Just as my little brother was questioning his own existence, Eiji heard his mother's voice from behind him. She was holding a baguette. Seeing this, Eiji realized the situation was bad. He immediately hugged his mother and told his brother to run. But just as his brother jumped from the upstairs window, baby Eiji grabbed his hair. To survive, the younger brother had no choice but to abandon his wig. He then hid in Ing-Air's room. He thought he would be safe for a while, but unexpectedly, a knock on the door came just a second later. Even though the younger brother tried to mimic his sister's voice, Ing-Air's mother still insisted that he open the door. Seeing this, the younger brother immediately took a bite of the bread. This allowed his sister to break free from her restraints. As Ing-Air opened the door, her younger brother fell into despair. But unexpectedly, not only did Ing-Air not expose him, she even sent her away. On the other side, the younger brother's escape enraged Ing-Air's mother. She hurried to the wealthy couple's house and used a sleeping drug to subdue them. The younger brother, who was hiding in Ing-Air's sister's room, suddenly realized that his older brother was in danger. When he returned home, he found his adoptive parents sleeping on the couch. The younger brother instantly became alert. After all, it was still broad daylight. He carefully made his way upstairs, and when he pushed open the door, he found his older brother tied to the side of the bed. The younger brother rushed forward to save her, but this played right into the second mother's trap. After confirming they were both Metri's children, the second mother decided to send them to reunite with their mother. But the older brother thought if something happened to both of them, it would surely alert the wealthy couple. Wan Yen, the baby's mother, agreed. So she decided to kill only one of them. The other continued to live as the secret bird. Her younger brother roared with accusations. Her older brother, however, was unusually calm. He listed all of his younger brother's flaws, but ultimately decided to die himself, because if he lost his brother, he couldn't live either. On the other hand, his younger brother could continue on with his life and revenge. I've forgotten everything. After saying this, Eiji's mother used a scarf to tightly strangle his neck. My brother's vision gradually blurred. Just at this critical moment, the cleaning lady appeared in time and saved my brother. It turns out that she had been buried alive in the backyard by Eiji's mother, but was rescued by my sister who happened to be passing by. Then, the two of them began their direct confrontation. Although Ing'er's mother had the upper hand, Aunt Baojie took advantage of the stares and briefly suppressed her. She seized the opportunity to send the two brothers out. However, she was struck in the throat by the arriving mother of the baby. She fell down. The two brothers quickly fled the village on their bicycles. But they disagreed about their future plans. The older brother decided never to return. The younger brother, however, planned to go back. He had experienced the warmth of family and friendship during his time there. Hearing this, the older brother's heart softened. He carried his younger brother on his bike and started the journey home. Meanwhile, police cars filled the driveway of the millionaire's mansion. Migi and Dali finally reached the climax of the entire series. The once revered Eiji was reborn, transformed into a drooling infant. And the mastermind behind all this was Eiji's mother. Not only that, she also cruelly murdered the nanny who had rescued the two brothers. Then they framed them with the murder weapon. As a result, the two were also listed as prime suspects. In order to clear their names, the two brothers decided to expose a hidden scandal within the family. But since the two were already wanted, and the family had tight security, it would be impossible for just the two of them to succeed. So they decided to seek help from a friend. The first person was Birdman Akiyama. Before his younger brother could explain what happened, Akiyama embraced him. Words couldn't describe their friendship. After learning the truth, Akiyama agreed to help him. To fight the Ichijo family, he needed powerful weapons. Suddenly, he thought of someone, so he told his younger brother to wait. He would go find some help. After Akiyama left, the younger brother tried to persuade his older brother, who was hiding in the closet. Under these circumstances, the best solution was to be honest with their friend. That way they could get the most help. After listening to his younger brother's words, he also believed him. Just as he was about to come out, he suddenly hid back again. Unexpectedly, Akiyama actually brought Ya. After learning the whole story, Ya said he could help on his own. But only if both of them recognized him as their leader. The reason for seeking Ya's help was because Paoya has various electronic equipment. To attack and conquer, the Yao family cannot do without him. Upon hearing this, although the younger brother was reluctant, he had no choice but to lower his head due to the situation. After some discussion, they decided to win over the Yao family's younger sister, Hualien. They would start by undermining the Yao family from within. Then, Ya used a remote-controlled helicopter, quietly delivering a letter to Hualien. But a cute raccoon sneaked up behind Ya. Ya was startled, and fell flat on the ground. Just when his brother thought the plan had failed, Ya actually climbed up a nearby street lamp, then took off his hat. It moved up and down rhythmically against the streetlight. Just as the two were puzzled, Hualien's room also flickered with light, as if responding to Paoya. The two suddenly realized that they were actually communicating using Morse code. Back in the room, Paoya told them, Hualien was trapped in the room by the turbulence lock, but she could open the window and let them in. After this incident, her younger brother's impression of Ya changed. Her older brother also realized Ya sincerely wanted to help them and decided to tell them everything. In the following discussion, my brother joined in. Akiyama and Kiba, who had always believed that Secret Bird was one person, were stunned. They thought for a moment they were hallucinating. Kiba almost hit the alarm. Fortunately, his brother stopped him in time. After learning about the brothers' experience, Akiyama and Kiba were moved to tears, and this strengthened the resolve to help the two of them. The first step of the plan was for the Birdman, Aoyama, to attract the police's attention and distract the guard officers. The other three would then use ropes to climb into younger sister Karen's room. But because Ya was too heavy, his climbing speed was extremely slow, and by the falling hat, they discovered the ground below was covered in barbed wire. Paoya was instantly paralyzed with fear. Even worse, the branch they were on was beginning to buckle under their weight. His younger brother urged Paoya to move, but Paoya remained frozen in place. With no other choice, his brother had to summon all his strength. He used his head to push Paoya forward. Fortunately, they both made it inside at the last moment, but it was too late for the older brother. When they crawled into the room, they found Paoya gazing affectionately at Hualien. They quickly stopped Paoya from taking the next step. They planned to use the younger sister as a hostage, to force Eiji's mother to tell the truth. Hualien, however, felt that it would be better to use Inger, who was more favored by their mother, as a hostage, because she had already had enough of this pretend family kind of life. Then, Hualien pretended to have a stomachache to bring their father over. The three of them then seized the opportunity to run out of the room. When they learned that Inger was being re-educated, the two brothers immediately understood. Eiji must be in that small, dark room from before. As expected, Eiji is currently lying like a baby in a crib. Then, the brothers decided to take Eiji to the second floor as a hostage. But Kiba didn't understand why they needed to go through all the trouble of carrying him upstairs. My brother said he didn't understand how scary the crazy woman is. If we show any weakness, the three of us will be dead. If we're on the first floor, the crazy woman could do something unpredictable, but the second floor is definitely the safest option. You will make some noise on the first floor to distract her, and then he'll hide. Just keep filming. After the plan was set, everyone began to take action. However, Ariai's baby started to misbehave. The younger brother had no choice but to make faces while moving forward. The schedule was significantly affected. On the other side, Yo was spotted by the family's dog. The noise the three made woke up the crazy woman. Worried about Air's comfort, the crazy woman hurried to the small dark room, lifting her skirt to check on him. The two brothers, hidden in the darkness, narrowly escaped. So the two brothers continued with their plan. They originally wanted to call Ya over to help, but unexpectedly, Ya had abandoned them. I rushed to the second floor by myself. Meanwhile, the crazy woman, realizing Eiji was gone, ran back. Fortunately, the two brothers hid in the stairwell, using the darkness to their advantage. Just then, the crazy woman heard Eiji crying. When she ran over, she found it was a video of the brothers soothing Eiji. It turns out this was all Paoya's plan. He didn't intend to abandon the brothers. Just how explosive is the latest episode of Migi and Dali? Because she couldn't have children, Eiji's mother dressed a maid up to look like herself and offered her to her husband. And she watched the whole scene unfold from the doorway. When Maitli first arrived at our home, she was clueless about everything. She'd even suck her own hair into the vacuum cleaner. Back then, Madam, who wasn't yet senile, kindly taught her how to put up her hair. Kind Madam made Maitli feel like she was being cared for like a younger sister. She admired Madam a lot. I also want to be like Madam, a woman who is perfect in every way. These words touched Madam. During the subsequent cleaning, Madam would guide Metri on the correct cleaning methods. When Metri used the wrong seasoning, Madam would patiently correct her mistakes. In the days that followed, the relationship between the two became increasingly close. The lady would even take out her own clothes and let Matra wear them. However, the good times didn't last long. During a checkup, the lady discovered that she was unable to have children. It was like a bolt from the blue. It deeply hurt the lady, who loved children. So, she returned home. She then wanted Maitli to bear her a child. Because of the previous care, Maitli hesitantly agreed to her request. Disguised as the madam, she went to her husband's bedside, and the madam's heart gradually became twisted. She constantly checked Maitli's belly and secretly anticipated the child's arrival. After an unknown number of nights had passed, finally, Metri started experiencing morning sickness. Seeing this, Madam was overjoyed. Just then, her husband suddenly appeared and embraced Metri from behind. It turned out he had known the truth all along. Madam, watching all this from the doorway, went completely mad. She thought Metri was doing it on purpose. She wanted to take everything from her. So after Madarek's wife gave birth, she pretended that she was about to give birth too. And to repay Madarek's wife, she gave her the dark cellar for the three of them to live in. Every day, she delivered food to them through a dog door. Gradually, Madarek's wife accepted reality. The three of them survived in that dark little room for 5 years. At the age of 5, the brothers displayed an astonishing talent. They managed to unlock the door with a fishbone. Metri decisively took the brothers and fled to the mountains outside the village, making a home there. At this point in the story, the madam started to go mad. She believed that Maitli was the incarnation of a demon. She thought that her inability to conceive was a curse brought by Maitli. Then, as if possessed by a deformed spirit, she crawled up to Ya's face. Ya was so frightened that he lay stiffly on the ground. The two brothers immediately held a knife to Ing Air's throat, threatening her with it. But who would have thought that the lady was not afraid at all? Seeing this, my brother quickly brandished his knife. But unexpectedly, the lady grabbed it and flung it away. Eiji asked where their mother was, but his brother told him that he, Eiji, had already killed her. Hearing this, Eiji froze, and as if possessed, slowly walked towards the first floor. He then went to the lady's side. I helped her to the side. The loud commotion naturally attracted my father's attention. Before he could ask what happened, a scream rang out. When they arrived at the secret room, they discovered the mother lying on the ground covered in blood. Just when everyone thought she was dead, her younger sister sensed something was wrong. She pushed her father aside. It turned out the lady had faked her death. Her goal was to lure everyone there and trap them in the secret room. She and Eiji had already discussed their future. They decided to go somewhere where no one knew them, starting a new life. After his wife packed their luggage, she planned to leave with Eiji. Migi and Dali's story was finally coming to an end. After Eiji regained consciousness, he killed his own mother. The madwoman died on the spot, and Eiji, having killed his mother, didn't plan to live either. A fire ignited this bizarre family. Meanwhile, everyone else was trapped in a small, dark room. The father's head was buzzing. He couldn't understand what was happening. In his mind, his family had always been harmonious. His sister then asked him if he knew Eiji was wearing diapers. The naive father thought Eiji had bedwetting issues. It was my father's inaction that made the madwoman escalate her behavior, from controlling the entire household to later wanting to control the entire Oregon village. Even though my father was a psychiatrist himself, with his biggest patient right beside him, he didn't notice. Hualian was speechless. Just then, he successfully gnawed a hole in the wooden door. But the next second, a puff of smoke drifted in. They instantly realized the fire had spread outside. If they didn't leave quickly, they would be burned alive. But no matter how hard they tried, the wooden door was as solid as steel. It's impossible to break through. Just as the older brother was about to give up, his younger brother kept hitting the wooden door with his head. Even though his head was bleeding, he showed no sign of giving up, because the younger brother wanted to escape. He wanted to eat cherry pie with everyone. Akiyama appeared before everyone like a savior. He immediately noticed his injured brother, but his brother noticed that his Birdman jacket was already severely damaged. Akiyama said it was just a minor conflict with the police. Then he led everyone to escape, but the main door was already engulfed in flames, so they went to the sister's room on the second floor. Although the outside was covered with barbed wire, but with a little speed, I can easily jump over it. Migi and Dali demonstrated first. Then father carried Hualian and jumped across, but when it was Ye's turn, he was too afraid to move. When it was Akiyama's turn, he noticed some movement by the doorway. The two brothers downstairs noticed Akiyama hadn't come out yet. They started to get anxious. But the next second, Akiyama, like a phoenix rising from the ashes, jumped down holding a Shiba Inu. I thought it was a happy ending. But then Akiyama told everyone that Eiji was still in the room. He was planning to die with his mother. The brothers' faces changed dramatically at these words. They then ran to the door. A familiar tune, the Waterflea song, drifted out from within. It was the Madwoman's favorite song. It held memories of Eiji and the Madwoman, and happy memories between the brothers and their mother. Listening to the song, the older brother was lost in memories of every encounter he had with Eiji. He suddenly understood. Eiji was himself, a version of himself without a younger brother. Then he rushed into the blaze. Meanwhile, Eiji and the Madwoman lay in bed, watching the smoke fill the sky. It looked just like the Milky Way. Eiji couldn't help but recall his trip to the planetarium with Crazy Mom. There, he saw a different side of her. His mother, usually so perfect, was actually drooling in her sleep. I was happy. I stared at her for a long time. I always hoped to become a great doctor like my father. This way, I could give my mother some peace of mind. I never thought this would be the only way to finally let her rest. He wanted to remain, until the very end, the perfect son in his mother's eyes. No matter what others said about the Madwoman, in Eiji's eyes, she was the perfect mother. So he decided to join her. After this last journey, mother won't be alone on her path. Unexpectedly, his brother came to his bedside. He told Eiji he came for revenge. He had hated Eiji, believing he killed their mother. Only now did he understand. It was because Eiji was so much like him. But Eiji didn't care about any of this. He made his older brother use the nearby kitchen knife to end his own life. In this way, the older brother's revenge would be complete. Just then, the younger brother charged over. The noise the younger brother made ruined Ing Er's plan of a tragic death. At that moment, the older brother told him his own revenge plan was to make Ing Er, the wolf in sheep's clothing, survive. Ignoring Ing Er's objections, he dragged him and ran towards the door. However, during their struggle, Ing Er accidentally pushed his brother down the stairs. In his eagerness to save him, the younger brother accidentally pushed Ing Er down as well. When the younger brother wakes up, the place is filled with smoke, and he can't see his older brother at all. What's even scarier is because the fire is too intense. The chandelier and stones from the ceiling also fall down at this moment. The younger brother almost lost his life. Just when he was about to give up hope, a bright light suddenly appeared in front of them. It gradually transformed into a figure resembling a Guang. She used a broom to clear the mist in the air. The figure of her brother also appeared. Then a Guang used a vacuum cleaner to suck away the remaining smoke in the air. They also discovered Ing Er, who was trapped under the chandelier. The younger brother advised his brother, "If I don't get out now, they'll be trapped in here too." But my brother didn't listen to me. He went straight under the chandelier and pushed it up, ignoring the risk of burns. But his strength alone was limited, and he couldn't help Eiji escape. Then my younger brother joined in, but their strength was just a little short. Suddenly, Eiji woke up. He told the brothers not to sacrifice their lives to save him. As they escaped the inferno, Eguang's soul vanished in that instant. The commotion attracted a large number of villagers. The police also arrived at the scene and discovered the madwoman's body on the second floor. The others, unaware of what truly happened, assumed that their older brothers had also perished in the fire. The three hiding in the shadows didn't plan to reveal themselves yet. They decided to return to their adoptive parents' home first, but Iai-chan refused them. Migi and Dali's story finally reached its climax. Their true identities as twins had actually been discovered by their adoptive parents long ago, and what would become of their lives after this? Since Eiji took all the blame upon himself, he was taken away by the police for investigation. Clearly, the police didn't believe his story. Fortunately, the dentist's camera that day recorded the whole incident. Although the camera was broken, the film inside miraculously survived. Thanks to that footage and Ing Er's father's desperate defense, Ing Er's sentence was reduced. but he was still sent to a juvenile detention center for rehabilitation. Paoya and Hualien were also forced to start a long-distance relationship. After going through all this, Mickey began to cherish the time spent with his adoptive parents even more. He often ate until he was full. Captain Dali, however, did not share in the joy of the reunion, because his face was burned in the fire. He could only hide in the shadows for the rest of his life, becoming his brother's substitute. Mickey suggested that Dali should stop hiding. He should tell the truth to their adoptive parents. They would surely accept it. But Dali did not want to cause any upheaval. He didn't want to ruin the peaceful life they had now. For him, as long as his younger brother is happy, he will be happy too. So during class, he would hide by the window to help his brother, telling him the correct answers. During PE class, he would also secretly help his brother score high. My younger brother's grades also successfully landed him first in the grade. He quickly became a prominent figure at school, but this wasn't what he wanted. Akiyama, the Birdman, naturally noticed this change. After understanding the whole story, he asked Migi if he still wanted to play the role of Secret Bird. Migi told him, "Actually, I no longer want to play the role of the Secret Bird. I want to live a real life with Dali." But Dali feels that the happiness they have right now is already great. That evening, Mickey and his foster parents celebrate the arrival of Christmas tomorrow. His foster mother asks Mickey what he wants for his birthday. Mickey excitedly lists a bunch of wishes. His foster parents told him that greed could turn him into a bad child. A person can only have one Christmas gift. As long as you're a good child, Santa Claus will give gifts every year. As they talked, they began discussing things about growing up. Hearing this, Dali couldn't help but feel a bit sad. That night, as he went to sleep, he also had a dream. "In my dream, it's the same familiar spot under the dining table, but the people around me have changed. After more than 10 years, Mickey will also get married and have children. He'll have a happy life. But I will still be hiding in this dark corner, living as Mickey's shadow." The nightmare woke me up. Tears had already soaked the bed. But when he got up, he was stunned by the scene in front of him. 2 gifts were placed under the Christmas tree. At that moment, his foster parents also entered the room. Mickey asked his foster parents, confused, if Santa Claus had made a mistake. His foster parents replied that Santa Claus never makes mistakes, and they told Mickey to open them and see. One is a clay pasta toy. The other is a curious scientist kit. It turns out they already knew about Dali's existence, and they had prepared breakfast for both of them downstairs. The younger brother was a bit excited when he heard this. He couldn't wait to take Dali downstairs, but Dali was still a bit reluctant to face them. At the same time, the adoptive parents downstairs were also feeling quite nervous. Just when they thought they had failed, they heard footsteps nearby. Mickey and Dali, revealing their true identities, appeared before their foster parents for the first time. The 3 of them raised their glasses at the dinner table in celebration. However, Dali still seemed a little reserved. Seeing this, their foster mother brought him a plate of omuris, because not long ago, we had a lot of leftovers, but no omuris. So she guessed that Dali liked omuris. It was this gesture that opened Dali's heart, and she enjoyed this delicacy with Michi. Years later, her adoptive father and Akiyama were birdwatching in the yard. Mickey became a handsome guy with curly hair, yet turned into a greasy older man. Dali looked like a caring older brother. Their foster mother asked the brothers to come to the kitchen to braid dough. Unexpectedly, Akiyama and Nya followed them. They wanted to see what the rumors about the wealthy couple's house were all about. Dali poured flour onto the table. Soon, writing appeared as if out of thin air. Nya and Akiyama were stunned. It turned out that the person writing was the nanny, Agwang. He had always stayed at his foster parents' house. He had even become pen pals with his foster mother. Then Mickey and Dali once again demonstrated their graceful knitting skills. While waiting for the cherry pie, the foster parents seemed a little nervous. Suddenly, there was a knock at the door. Today was the day Eiji's transformation was complete. Everyone gave Eiji a warm welcome. But Eiji was still trembling nervously. Dali appeared in front of Eiji dressed as a woman. This immediately caused a roar of laughter. The tense atmosphere instantly vanished. Dali shyly hid under the table. The scene imagined by Ing Air was realized at that moment. Soon after, Mickey and Dali faced their farewell. Dali was accepted into a key middle school and was going to study in another town. Mickey, on the other hand, dreamed of becoming an artist and stayed in the village. And this time, he was determined to prove. No matter how far apart we are, our hearts are still together.